What's going on, guys? It's another edition of the Sports Web here, live from the press box here at Raymond James Stadium.
From the red corner.
Yes, from the red corner after USF falls to Alabama 17-3. I got to say this.
Yes, you're hearing that score right.
17-3 coming in as a 32-point underdog. So I just want to do this. I mean, I want to clap because I really felt like even though USF lost this game, right? And we talked about it because everybody, national media, local media here, and of course the legend of Leo Haggerty. If I didn't introduce you, come in a little bit closer there, my friend. Just a little
bit. Come a little bit closer.
There you go. And I tell you right now, USF kept it close all day long, and they did it out of the strength of good defense. More than likely, it wore down in that second half, especially against the run game. Alabama really showed their talent. And then the turnover situation, and USF failed to make plays down the field. I mean, they depended on Brown as a quarterback, as a runner, but as far as trying to pass the ball, he definitely needs work. This offense needs work here, Leo. So give me your overall thoughts here. USF keeps it close, lose to Alabama 17-3. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television.
Well, Peter, thank you for having me on again.
Yes.
And you know what? Coach Golish hit the nail on the head. He said, look, there are no moral victories at this level. You either win or you lose.
Right.
But with that being said, remember, there aren't moral victories, but there are devastating losses. So think about if this game was 69-3.
Exactly.
Then you go take that film and you go bury it outside.
Which is one of our guys here, my co-host, Mr. Harry the Greek, would put out there and said, it was going to be 69-3. USF had no chance.
No, they said 69 zip.
69 zip, excuse me, yes.
Yeah.
And I tell you right now.
For 59 minutes, they're within a score. Or have the lead tied or within a score for 59 minutes.
Yeah, I don't think 17-3 is really indicative of Alabama's dominance. They didn't dominate this game by any means. And I think it's a good thing for USF fans because it shows, and I said this to you in the press box, if this were Jeff Scott's team, I feel like they would have got their doors blown out. We saw that last year, facing BYU, how they got their doors blown off and other teams. This is an encouraging sign by Coach Golish and what he's got going on here, what he's trying to build. And you've got a young quarterback who's 18 years old. In fact, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and go out to Coach Golish because you interviewed him live on Amped Up Sports. We'll come back here, talk to you more about USF falling to Alabama 17-3 on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Enjoy. Here we go.
The first one, do you think the delay helped you or hurt you?
I don't think it was consequential in any way. The delay was for them as well.
Coach, Brown, good plays, bad plays. Is this just the growing pains of a young quarterback?
He rushed for almost 100 yards. He created first downs with his feet. I'm sure there's some throws he'd like to have back. He's going to continue to grow certainly as a quarterback. He's an elite leader. His process is elite. He's just going to keep growing and growing and growing. There's got to be a trust factor for him, especially when you're young at that position. There's got to be a trust factor for him that what it looks like in front of him during the week is what it looks like during the week, or what it looks like during the week for him is what it looks like on Saturday, and that's the execution part I'm talking about. It's not just him when a pass is incompleted. It's the running back, it's the O-line, it's the receivers, it's the tight ends, it's everybody. And it takes time, but that's an excuse, and nobody here wants to hear an excuse. I certainly don't. So we've got to continue to present pictures to him and continue to allow him to gain confidence in the system and certainly the pieces around him. But yeah, it's growing pains. The kid's 18 years old, and that was his fifth college start. So absolutely. But I don't know if they're growing pains. It's part of growing up. It's part of laying a foundation for a program. Like, he's going to continue to get better because he cares. He's about the right things. He's tough as they come. He's exactly what you want this program to be.
All right, so there you go. There's Coach Golish after the game, after USF falls to Alabama 17-3, and a highly contested game. You look at Brown's final numbers: 10 for 18, 14 for 27, 87 yards, one interception. Of course, the key interception there, where it looks like USF may be able to tie this game.
And you know what, Peter?
Yes.
Coach Golish put that on himself. He said, I got a little bit impatient.
Right.
We're getting the little chunk yards, which is what we need to do, but I wanted him to set his feet and throw it down the field. The problem was the receiver saw the safety in there and started to veer away. Problem was the ball was already in the air.
Right. Ball was already in the air. It doesn't look like a good throw, whether it's a miscommunication by Brown or the receiver. You even said it. It seemed like the game plan coming into it, and I thought it was conservative to a certain degree. You pass the ball first. If you're 2nd and 5, you run the ball, and you make sure that you have manageable third downs in that your 3rd and 5, your 3rd and 6 and 3rd and 7, because you don't want to get into those situations where your offense,
where you're really behind the
right,
chains.
right. So you're behind the 8 ball there with 3rd and 10, 3rd and 13 versus this Alabama defense, which got after it today. And we wanted them to throw down the middle because you saw this in the press box where they were playing cover 2. Why don't you think they went down the middle of the field more with Brown and with their wide receivers?
Well, you know what, Peter, when you look at how they were aligned, a lot of times they were 2-by-2, and they were a wide 2-by-2. So there was nobody to get into the middle of the field.
Right.
Finally, we started to see at the end where they put somebody in a wide position, a tight end in close, or they brought one of those wide outs into the slot and could get into the middle. Then we started to see the middle exploited. And again, quarterback has to see that. He has to see, okay, do I have one high safety or in the middle? All right, that's either man under single free,
right,
or it's cover 3, one or the other. But that safety is going to be in the middle field. If you see 2 of them out on the hash marks, cover 2, get to the middle.
Yeah, get to the middle. You're exactly right. Now, Brown for the day when it comes to rushing, 23 carries, 92 yards. I mean, he's explosive. When he gets out into space, we talked about this all the time, and it kind of seemed like it was their offense. They were going to run the ball. They ran the ball for 177 yards, not only Brown, but also Naquan Wright, who really set the tone. And you told me this early. With trucking a defender of Alabama, like, we're here to compete. We're not just here to show up. We're here to compete. We're here to knock your head off.
I asked him that question. I said,
okay.
Look, and I asked Coach that at the end. I said, Coach, when you sat there and you saw, Daquan just, steamroller to safety.
Yeah.
Did that send a message that, hey, we're here, but we're also here to win? He said, oh, yeah.
Sure. Above all lines, if you want to talk about your USF Bulls here falling to Alabama, 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. The other number, in case you can't get through, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. It has been a wild day in college football. Florida State survives Boston College, winning 31-29. Georgia had a scare. And just to update.
You know what, Peter? Let me throw that out real quick because I know you're going to get to Florida. We're going to spend a little time on that.
26-7 right now. Florida Gators.
26
fans.
Straight points.
Wow.
And, Tennessee hasn't won in the swamp since 2005, I think.
Yes.
So it's been a while. But, Peter, I said this at the beginning of the year. I didn't have Georgia and Alabama going to the playoffs. And you asked me, what they talk about? I said they do not have an established quarterback.
Right.
Neither one. And, boy, it's starting to show, especially with Alabama.
I mean, Alabama, before the game, they benched Jalen Milroe. We talked about it. One quarterback, Reed, he was benched before the game. They bring in the second starter there, and I'm
Tyler.
Yes, another Tyler, because they Tyler, and then Ty Simpson finishes the game 5 for 9, 73 yards overall. Alabama's passing game, nothing to write home about. And it almost seemed like Alabama and USF, they're kind of have the same problem. You're looking for that quarterback play, although Brown can make, plays with his feet. You can't throw the ball consistently. We know you have to do that from the pocket. Alabama wasn't able to accomplish that. Give credit to where credit is due. USF, 5 sacks for the day. And I tell you what, the kid Evans, Daquan Evans, 3 career high there. Last time USF had that many sacks versus UConn in 2019. So an impressive effort by the defense. But like you said, you felt like that defense kind of wore down because specifically the offense could not do enough consistently to sustain those drives. Yeah.
And you know what, Peter? It's hard to get a judge on this because when you think about it, kickoff was at 3:30.
Right.
Game didn't end till close to 8 o'clock.
Correct.
You're talking about guys that have been there and, they had to shut it down for close to an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And then come back out and play. So credit to both teams. They came out. And I'll tell you what, there were some people getting hit out there.
Oh, yeah.
Both sides of the ball.
Absolutely. And it starts out very well for USF. In fact, they get a break there, fumble by Alabama. They get a short field. Offense stalls. They get a field goal, go up 3-0. Finally, Alabama gets on the board. Why? Because they cause a turnover from Bryce Brown. In fact, he's trying to get out of the pocket, escape the pressure, gets hit from behind. Alabama gets short field. They take advantage of it. They get a field goal. And then later on, about the third quarter there, it's later on in the third quarter, you get a big play to the tight end. DeRipe, I believe his name is, 1 catch for 45 yards for the game. Simpson is the quarterback that's throwing them, and then Rodell Williams really killed USF on that drive, 21-yard run to put them in contention, and Rodell goes in. Rodell Williams had a big game. Alabama had a big game when it comes to rushing for their team today, and they needed that because it picked up their quarterback play, which once again, nothing to write home about.
And you know what? Let's give Coach Orlando a lot of credit.
I agree.
I agree with his game plan and schemes, because one of the other media guys said, looked like Wally Burnham out there. I said, yeah, it did. I mean, it was Katie barred the door. We're coming, but you don't know where we're coming from.
Right.
And that was huge.
And then in the second half, they get the 47-yard run, which basically puts the game out of check at that point. But not a lot of big plays. Again, you've got, the big play to the tight end there.
Credit to both defenses for
that.
Right,
right, exactly.
Allowing exploding plays.
Exactly. I mean, that's what it comes down to. You don't give up those explosive plays, and that definitely is going to help you out. I'll tell you what, let's go out to the comments here. Who is the offensive coordinator? Who is the offensive coordinator for USF?
Joel Gibson.
Right. Well, and I think a lot of people were asking that in the sense of, they really didn't understand the game plan. Did you understand the game plan? Why so conservative? And then you go for it on 4th down. I get it. It's manageable. But some of the things you did, you kind of even pointed out that Alabama was going to catch up on. And they did. They put the ball in Brown's hands. But you run up the middle. You try to go to the edge. They're waiting for you on that. What did you think about going for it on 4th down conversions in this game?
You know what, Peter? I kind of disagreed with a couple of them.
Okay.
But, a coach afterwards, he said, you know what, I looked at this and thought we had a chance. And, they were, 1 of 6, I think, on 4th down. If you include
2 for 6.
If you include the fake punt.
Correct.
Yeah. But
which doesn't make any sense to me. I didn't understand that.
You might as well line up and go for it.
Right. You might as well. Because, listen, if you're going to run the ball on 3rd and 10 and get 5 yards, then, again, that sets you up for a manageable situation. And I feel better about having Byron Brown in there to have the ball, try to throw it, or most likely run it, than trying to have your punter do it. And it didn't. Well, you know what, Peter? That stuff didn't make sense. It
wasn't even the punter. It was the up back.
Right.
He snapped it to right away. But again, I would have rather seen him run a play.
Correct.
Because you'd have had 11 guys out there on offense that are used to it.
Right.
But I like the fact that, okay, we're here to win.
Sure.
We're not here to lose. In fact, Peter, you and I had this conversation.
I loved it. I love the attitude of it. I think it showed that the young coach said, look, we're getting an opportunity to go for it on 4th down. We're going to go for it on 4th down. And they did that multiple times a day, whether you agreed with it or not.
Yeah, in fact, we had the conversation with, if they score and make it 10-9, they're going to go for 2.
I think you go for 2 at that point.
Yeah,
the way you're coaching it. How do you feel like he coached this game, in your opinion?
He coached it very well. There were times where emotion may have taken over, said, let's go there. But you know what? We talk about Brown. It's his 5th. This is this guy's 3rd head coaching job.
Yeah.
In terms of games.
Right.
So it's his 3rd game. So, he's going to get better. He's making some mistakes, which, everybody does.
Right. Brown's 4th game starting. He said he put it out there. Yeah.
And
I didn't realize how young he was.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what.
Wow.
Unless you're on the sideline and you see what's happening down there, you're up in the booth. It's a whole different animal. But you're down on the sideline.
Of course.
You got 65,000 people screaming. You're trying to get things in. You're trying to talk. You can't hear yourself think. So, yeah, it's organized chaos down there on the sideline. So it's and again, you got a brand new staff that are trying to get together. It's a little bit of growing pains everywhere. But again, I'm going to go back to this. Tomorrow, they're going to show that film.
Sure they are.
They're not going to bury it. They're going to say, hey, look, there are 5 or 10 plays here that we clean that up. We win the football game.
Well, absolutely. And I think this offense, you're going to have to develop what is, besides Byron Brown running, what is the identity of it? Well, it certainly seems like they want to run the ball. They want to be physical at the point of attack. And we talked about it also during the game. It doesn't help when you lose both of your wide receivers to Colorado and Xavier Weaver and, of course, the Jimmy Horn Jr., who are completely excelling right now for Dion and his crew. So if you had those guys, maybe you have a different offense. That's neither here nor there. You're trying to build a foundation. This is the way you build a foundation with, yeah, you lose to Alabama, but you stay with them for, the majority of the game. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to go back to a line in Hoosiers, and I
for it.
know you're going way back, but
Yes.
I can remember when they were sitting there going, "We want Jimmy, when they're introducing the team, and Coach gets out and says, Gene Hackman says, "Hey, this is who we are. This is your team."
Right.
And you know what? He's embraced that. He said, "Yeah, we got new guys in that, but this is the Bulls. This is what we got." And he can't knock the effort, and he hasn't knocked the effort, because I like to say, there's two things you can't coach.
And by the way, the other quarterback is Tyler Buckner. I forgot about it because he went 5 for 14 for 34 yards and basically
forgettable performance.
He was benched.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you know what, Peter? When you look at what this game meant to South Florida, we took a picture.
Yes.
At 3-0.
Yes.
I mean, when's the last time Alabama didn't score in the first quarter?
Yeah.
And it's 3-3.
You have to go all the way back, and I looked at this on Twitter. It's 2009. Utah had a 21-0 lead
at halftime. Yeah.
And in a bowl game.
Yeah.
In a bowl game in 2009.
And who was the coach of Utah?
I don't think I'm going to bet you on this. I do not think it was Urban.
I think it may have been. So we'll check that.
I don't think it was Urban Meyer.
Now you know what I'm expecting to see, like Christopher Cole. Come on, Christopher, tell us. Who was the Utah coach? It's going to come up here.
It's not Urban Meyer, because by then Meyer was with Florida. He was winning national championships with Tim Tebow.
I think the only time that Alabama played Utah was once in the Sugar Bowl. So,
right.
And I think it was
not
Meyer.
The coach of Utah. He was not. Let me go. Let me go out to Christopher Cole. Dang, how many times did they go for it inside the 40? If they would have kicked a few field goals, they probably would still be in the game. Agree with that?
Yeah. I don't know, because we don't know if they made them or not.
Take those points. You take the points when you got them, or do you go for it if you got Alabama on the ropes?
Yeah, if you're down 10-3, you may be thinking, hey, we're not going to get down here too often.
Sure.
So let's take our shot. But it would have made it interesting. But would it have won the game? Probably not, but
probably not, because the defense was tired, and then at the end of the day, you didn't make enough plays at the quarterback position.
No.
And I like Brown, and I think he's young.
He made a lot of good plays,
right?
But
he has to make more in the passing game. It can't just be the running game. There, James Flash Ludeman says Ty Simpson. It was penalties were the big story for Bama. 4 touchdowns called back by penalties. That's a good point. Cornell, what's up, Peter Blake? What's going on, buddy? How you doing? James says Urban was not the coach of Utah. I didn't think he was either. Regardless of how Alabama looks right now, for USF to hang in with a top 10 team from start to finish is impressive for an upcoming program. Agree with that.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's where USF fans really have to be excited about this young coach, because he said this week he was going to go for it on 4th down. He went for it on 4th down. He said that he was going to develop a mentality for his program where they're going to be tough. They are tough. They are physical. Their defense is getting better, even though they had some lapses. He gave up some rushing yards to Alabama. It's to be expected when you're on the field the majority of the time.
I am going to ask Coach Orlando.
Please do.
When we get to the Zoom portion on Wednesday.
Yes.
Coach, if they'd have told you only give up 17 points to Alabama before the game started, would you have taken it?
To me, it's 10, because you get that late touchdown there. That's for the bettors. That's for Harry and the bettors out there in Las Vegas. To me,
Harry, please check in so we know you're still alive.
Ray Kennedy, I think, is tuned in here. I think everybody's tuned out of the Rays game, giving an update on that. 8-0. Glasnow did not pitch tonight, or he's supposed to pitch tonight. Wasn't the greatest. Let's just say that. Yeah.
Wow.
And the last check again for you Gator fans out there, you must be excited. 26-7 over Tennessee. Last check. We'll update that score. Again, going around college football, FSU survives. What did you see out of that game today? Because BC, they came back. It looked like Florida State had that game in hand, and then all of a sudden, and for me, if Florida State, your top 3 program, your defense has to play better than that in the second half. You have to get some more turnovers. You have to get some more stops. They didn't do that today, and BC nearly beat them.
Well, yeah, and if I could talk about coaching decisions, they go for 2 twice.
Right.
And if they didn't, it'd be 31-31, and we're in overtime.
Right.
So,
you're kind of overthinking yourself, right? Analysis by paralysis.
Yes, and don't start chasing those points till you have to.
Sure, sure.
There's no reason to go for 2. Unless it's the first score of the game, you go up 8-0, which is interesting.
Right.
You can always catch up from there. Or it's late in the fourth quarter. If you're going to get the ball back, and you were obviously going to get the ball back in the third quarter, early fourth,
right?
That just don't jump at that and say, okay, we're going to go. So instead of being at 7, you're 9.
Yeah,
now you're 2 scores away.
And then also you commit costly turnovers, which happened today with Florida State, where you give BC new life.
And you know what? I'm going to give BC a lot a lot of here because they played their Wells game. I don't know if you're aware of that, but that's the game they play every year, where it honors one of the former BC guys.
I didn't know that.
Who was in the 9/11. He was one of the casualties there, but he would always wear his BC bandana. That's why you see all these guys with that bandana, and inside the numbers is all that.
Right.
But and BC doesn't duck. They played Clemson a couple times with that, to Florida State, and you know what? They played a lot of emotion in that day.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they were playing with emotion today, and they kept it close. And Castellanos, Thomas Castellanos, who FSU recruited as a quarterback, he showed the reason why Florida State recruited him in the first place. Mm-hmm. Highly dynamic player, could move, mobile, make some throws. And you know what,
Peter? I got a feeling the Seminoles and maybe their fans are saying, we're looking past that to Clemson.
Maybe they were.
Well,
maybe they were, but you can't do that.
Nope.
And you found out today South Carolina nearly pulled off the upset because why? Maybe Georgia played down to the competition.
And another team without an established quarterback. Everybody
that's
says,
what it comes down to, though. It comes down to quarterback. You either got one, or you have 2, and you don't have a quarterback. Mm-hmm. And I think Alabama may have a problem right now because they don't know who their quarterback is. And USF really gave them all kinds of problems today. Credit to them. Go back to the defense, 5 sacks. I mean, did you see this coming? This defense has improved.
Peter, nobody saw this coming.
Right.
I thought the offense would score more. I thought the defense would give up more. So you know what?
Sure.
It was a great effort by the defense,
especially Daquan Evans.
Yeah,
and number 0. I like the number 0.
0.
Yes.
And you know what? It was crazy because some of those sacks, if they'd have gone for the arm, and again, you're talking about guys who had his first 3 sacks of his career. So he's just happy to be there.
Right.
And 5 sacks for the game, that's big time.
It does come down to the turnover situation. And of course USF lost that today. And you're gonna probably look back at it. When Brown is trying to escape, you say it best. Maybe go down, maybe try to throw the ball away instead of trying to make plays. I mean, that's the greatness of him. He can make plays out. We've seen it. We've seen all kinds of long runs.
He was a magician on some of those plays.
Really was.
It
was
a Houdini move.
You know who he looks like? He looks like Cam Newton to me. Does he look like Cam Newton to you a little bit?
Just not as big, but yeah.
He's a big guy. He's like 6'2", 6'3".
Yeah, but Cam Newton was almost 6'6" and about 250.
6'5", I know. 6'6", 6'5", a tank. Yeah. Absolutely. We're on the Sports Web here live from the red corner at Raymond James Stadium Press Box. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty, former Coach Scout, and now media member of Night Sports Productions and Amped Up Sports, as we are recapping USF's loss today. But again, I just say this, hats off to Coach Golish for having this team ready. They gave Alabama everything they could handle. That is the number 10 team in the country, and you went toe-to-toe with them.
For 15 rounds.
For 15 rounds.
Yep.
And then you put the knockout blow there. All right, let's go ahead, read some more of these comments, and then we may wrap this up for the night because we'll be back here tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I will be back here tomorrow on the Sports Web live with JP Peterson covering Bears versus Buccaneers. Really quick, I know we've kind of talked about that, but how do you see that game playing out right now with the field conditions? You think the field conditions are going to be anything that Bucs fans should worry about, Bucs players should worry about with the rain we had there? Of course, 54 minutes weather delay, as you predicted. You should be a weatherman, my friend. Every time
where's Dennis Phillips when we need him?
I'm telling you, every time we get into the press box and we start eating, you say, This game is starting at 3:30. Look at the skies, Pete. I'm telling you, they're going to delay the game. And sure enough, they had lightning about a mile away. They tracked it, so it was about 54-minute delay.
And the worst thing was the only place it was happening was right over top of us.
That's it.
It went right around everything else.
Exactly. And I posted the picture up there. So, and it would have been easy. It would have been easy for the Bulls to basically say, you know what, we had that delay. We gave our best effort.
Let's check out.
Right. They didn't do that. Mm-hmm. So,
but you know what? You talked about field conditions.
Yes.
Raymond James Stadium, the turf is the best in the National Football League. It is the best. It's like playing on a putting green.
Right.
If you go down there, it is actually, you could probably go down there now and you wouldn't have known it rained.
Sure.
That's how well it trains.
Well, good. I hope it doesn't rain tomorrow. But I mean, who does that favor? Who do you think that favors? If let's say it gets into a sloppy game, does that favor the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the Bears?
Bears.
Why the Bears?
Because they need all the help they can get.
Okay.
You know, they if they can get weather, they get anything, because you know what? That's a bad. And again, Peter, I don't know what the wise guys are seeing out in Vegas, but you know, as Harry the Greek brought up, the Bucs are 2.5-point favorite, which means if they were going to Chicago, they'd be an underdog.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing I can think of is they're saying, okay, the Bucs didn't win, the Vikings lost. You know, they turned it over 3 times.
Sure.
But Chicago was terrible Sunday against Green Bay at home.
They were awful.
At home.
They were awful with all the expectations. And right now, you just talk to Chicago people. We talked to David Schuster the other night from Chicago. There are big-time doubts about Justin Fields being the franchise quarterback going forward. So I think that will be a big time key tomorrow. Of course, we'll be here live on the Sports Web on Facebook and YouTube talking about that, giving you all the action. But want to go back to USF here. What else did you see from this game? I mean, again, lots of rushing yards by both teams. Of course, the defense kind of wilted. Is that what you saw with that? Kind of wore down?
Yeah, after 59 minutes, yeah. But I'll tell you another thing. They weren't kicking it to Kool-Aid.
No.
That's for sure. They were kicking it out of bounds or to the sideline.
Well, he had a fumble early on. Kool-Aid McCaffrey, who may be a number one not a number one overall pick, but a first-round pick. He's very explosive, and he had a fumble, which really USF could have took.
Was their only points.
Points there. Yeah, exactly. Took advantage. Hopefully, eventually, they're going to be able to convert some of those field goals into touchdowns.
And by the way, folks, there were a lot of cell phone cameras going up in the press box when that score was 3-0 at the end of the first quarter.
Well, I'll tell you right now, speaking of cameras, did you hear this?
Oh, this is amazing.
ABC is broadcasting the game. Just watched RG3 come by here about 10, 15 minutes ago. They were trying to broadcast this game, and they lost like 3 cameras, and 3 cameramen weren't assigned to it, and they had all kinds of malfunction. So the camera shot.
In fact, the replay was a problem too. They said there was only 3
terrible.
cameras.
How does that happen with all that tech that you have, that you invest in? How does that happen?
Life happens, Peter. Sometimes you just can't figure it out.
I mean, you're ABC. You got all this tech. You got all this technology with all your cameras, and you can't get it together.
It's like insurance companies tell you when something like happens, it's an act of God. That's about what it was.
That's great. All right, let's go out. So with that being said, let's go out to Ben Cornett here. Open phone lines if you want to talk about your USF Bulls, 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. The other number, in case you can't get through, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. It's the evolution of sports talk television. It's the Sports Web live here on I Love St. Pete, the hub, Amped Up Sports, and usually Bucks Life. We're not doing any Bucks Life because this is USF. And on my page, I believe FSU kind of was looking ahead to Clemson next week.
Better not look past Clemson, though.
Agree. Gators rolling against Tennessee. Absolutely. Let's go out to Ben Cornett from Las Vegas. Run game is going to decide the Bucks-Bears game tomorrow. Whomever offense has a better run game and defense force turnovers will decide the game, in my opinion.
Hey, Ben, can I add to that?
Sure, go for it.
I think it's going to be the quarterback play. Whichever quarterback is better.
Right.
And you know what? Look about midway through the third quarter. See which one's the dirtiest. That guy's usually going to be behind.
Well, I mean, and again, the big-time question mark was what? The Bears, not only the Bears' offensive line, but the Bucs' offensive line, especially with the transition of Tristan Wirfs going from the right side to the left side. You know what? You didn't hear his name not one time. You didn't hear Luke Gedicke's name not one time. So that's always...
I was happy about that.
Right. Now, on the other flip of the coin here with the Chicago Bears, they had all kinds of problems Going back to USF, did you feel that was more of, and I know we're switching around here, but I got to go back to it because it just came in my head here. Do you think it's the offensive line not necessarily blocking, or do you think that was Brown getting happy feet? Because you kind of mentioned that. Did you ask Coach Golish about him? Because it seemed like he was getting a little bit happy feet, trying to make too many plays there. I mean, what did you see with the offensive line and their blocking?
You know, and he brought this point up. We got to give him pictures during the week that he's going to see on Saturday. I think there may be.
What does that mean? What does that mean exactly?
What kind of coverage we show you at practice? That's what we give you. You're going to see on Saturday. And I asked him. I said, you know, did they do anything to surprise you? No, but you know, they're not going to say, yeah, they did a lot of things. They're not going to say that.
Right.
But you know, you have to ask it. But the thing about what's going on now is you got a little bit of growing pain at quarterback.
Yeah.
The big thing is your defense is playing well. And again, you know, we all talk about the New York Jets and losing Aaron Rodgers, but that defense is going to keep you in the game. If they play defense like this against Rice next week, they're going to be 1-0 in the conference.
That's my big thing. I mean, USF, you can put out there an effort like that because we talk about FAMU. You know, they allow FAMU to stay in that game, still are able to beat them, but should have beat them by more. You put out a great effort versus Alabama, fall a little bit short. Now, can you do the same thing? Can you have the same consistency? Because if you put out that same effort, and look, you know, there are lots of questions about this defense coming in as they were one of the worst in college football. And again, to hold, you know, Alabama under control, whether they have a quarterback or not, you know, those are the athletes that you're trying to beat, you're trying to compete with, and they're supposedly going to be better than you. And today you put out that type of effort. You're exactly right. If you follow through with a bad effort versus Rice, then basically this game today doesn't mean anything.
Right. And you know what, Peter? I think the effort's going to be there because you've seen in the first 3 games, the effort's there. And, you know, J.P. Peterson brought up a great point.
Yeah.
You know, when I said not a lot of points scored, he goes, you're trying to tell me Western Kentucky is better than Alabama? I said, under center they are. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it seems like their offense is better, especially at quarterback. We continue to talk about that position, and I think USF has one. I just think they have to get him in the rhythm, make easier throws. He also has to be more patient, like you said.
And again, Peter, we keep forgetting, this is just a kid.
He's 18 years old. I didn't realize it. No. He's 18 years old in his 4th start. That's crazy.
And they got a lot on his shoulders. And you know what? He bent, but he didn't crack.
Yes.
And that's a plus.
Sure. Absolutely. The sky's the limit for Mr. Byron Brown. We're live here on the Sports Web after USF falls to Alabama 17-3. We'll continue to read these comments, and then after that, sayonara. We'll get out of here. We'll come back tomorrow.
He's got to get back here tomorrow.
I got to get back here. I was thinking about just leaving my stuff here in the red corner. I mean, who's going to mess with it at this point? You think anybody will mess with it in the press box?
No comment.
Everybody's looking at me right now like I'm crazy.
No comment.
I mean, they were like, what is going on here? This is the Sports Web. We do this anywhere. We could do this in a
Peter, I really like the red background,
booth.
Don't you?
I love it. Absolutely love it. And you got black on today, and I got purple. So gotta give me a black shirt sometime. We'll match up. That's good. What's happening, guys? What's going on, Ralph?
Hey,
How
you doing?
West Virginia 7, Pitt 6, 3rd quarter.
You got another defensive struggle.
Oh my gosh, or an offensive struggle. Good point, Leo. And Ralph says Bulls beat themselves in the 4th quarter. Agree with that? Did they beat themselves? Of course, with the turnover there, where they're trying to get back into the game. That turnover. Major. Did they beat themselves in the 4th quarter, in your opinion?
Well, you got the turnover and you got the offsides on 4th down.
Sure.
Yeah, you know, because
right. I didn't understand that. Somebody has to explain that to me, because you can clearly see, and you even pointed this out, the reason why Alabama is trying to go for it on 4th down is because they're trying to draw off the defense. And sure enough, again, that comes down to the youth of this team. Got to have a little bit more football IQ at that point, not take the bait, right?
Well, yeah, especially when as soon as the quarterback got under center, I leaned to you, Peter, and I said, "Oh, they're just trying to drive him off sides."
Yep.
They haven't gotten under center the whole game.
Yep.
So you're going to have your 3rd-team quarterback in there take a direct snap? No.
No.
Not tonight.
I tell you right now, you were breaking out in song tonight with
Canada. That's enough. Enough.
You were breaking that out at halftime. I think it was during the lightning delay where we had Travis Straley of Rocket Sports and Entertainment, and we saw Jason Powers here
and Jay Retcher
Jay Retcher.
He was crucifying me for that. And again,
Well, he
If I
can't
gotta say,
listen, he can't crucify you for a lot, my friend, because you actually got Gucci glasses on. We figured this out. This man right here is so cool. He's got Gucci glasses on. So he's styling and profiling. I may have a
Yeah.
Rolex, but you got Gucci glasses.
yeah, but I got Gucci glasses because Mrs. Haggerty picked them out. You know,
Miss
trust me.
Haggerty's a hell of a
Yeah.
wife. You better
Yeah.
keep her. Definitely better keep her.
Yep, she's a keeper.
She's the one. All right, give me some final thoughts here, Leo, as we're just
Peter,
Yeah.
I'm so glad we're sitting here talking 17-3 and not 69-3.
agree, because
Yeah.
that'd be a hard post game show to do.
I'm also disappointed we're not talking about, 35-33.
Mm-hmm.
There's some work to do on offense.
Right.
Defense, lights out. A lot of credit to that. But offensively, they got to come up. You got to put points on.
You got to put points on the board.
Not going to beat anybody 3-0.
Do you feel like they have the talent at the skill positions? Because we talked about Xavier Weaver. We talked about Jimmy Horn Jr. now being in Colorado. So that definitely hurts you with the transfer portal. But do you see athletes? Do you see Atkins on this team, Al Joffrey Brown? Do you see guys like that can step up, get the separation? Do you see that today? Did they get enough separation, in your opinion? And can they do that going forward against some of this competition that USF has to play?
Peter, they didn't, but I don't know if that was the game plan, just to take those two corners out of the game. Okay, run with me all day or stay with me, and then we'll go someplace else. Again, what you're seeing is I think Brown only threw the ball once or twice past 10 yards.
Yes.
And Alabama was the same thing. I think they threw it only, once.
Yeah. Again, Brown, 14 for 27, 87 yards. And I think the whole game plan was to keep the manageable third downs, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, 37, anything longer than that. And then you're getting into trouble. And the offensive line, I think, was okay. But I also agree with you when it comes to Brown is he wants to make plays with his feet. He's got to learn, and he's still young.
He's got to go through his progressions.
He's got to go through his progressions. We always talk about that. And then, of course, it always comes down to, the skill positions, the wide receivers getting that separation. I'm not sure.
And you know what? The worst thing you have to do a quarterback is to get hit early.
Yeah.
Because now you're not looking downfield, you're looking at the rush.
You're looking for ghost, like you said.
Yeah, yes. And sometimes those ghosts cost sacks.
Yes, they
do.
do.
Looking the wrong way.
Yes, they do. Yes,
Peter,
they do.
is it time to pull the plug, do you think?
I think it is time to pull a plug. Final thoughts here on USF's loss to Alabama.
I can't wait for Rice.
Yes.
I can't wait for Rice.
I can't either.
Because now it's a whole new season. You're into the conference. And again, you can't coach size. You can't coach speed. You know what else? You can't coach Peter's effort. That comes from the players. And the fact we're going to find out, they're 1-2.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to find out next Saturday, what this team is made of emotionally.
Agree.
That's huge.
And I think, them playing with that heart and that effort is a direct reflection of Coach Golish.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what you want to see. People say, well, could he be the next Jim Leavitt? Well, hopefully he is, because what Jim Leavitt did with this program back then was great, getting him all the way to number 2 in the country. So if he's any type of coach like that can get the same type of effort versus some of the top teams in the country, guess what, USF? You got yourself the right coach. For the great Mr. Legend here, Leo Haggerty, former coach, scout, and now media member of Night Sports Productions and Amped Up Sports. I'm your host, Peter Blake. We'll be back here live on the field at Raymond James Stadium. Bucks and Bears. 3 things. I can't yell. I'm in the press box. I don't want to wake anybody up.
Can't yell.
Bring your passion. Bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. USF falls to Alabama 17-3. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon on the evolution of Sports Talk Television.
And I hope we gave you something to think
about. Have a great night. And once again, I'm your Rolex reporter. What time is it? It's my time. And of course, for the Tampa Bay sports
Showed I watch for my friend Tina. There you go, Tina.
It's your time. Have a great night, guys.
Be nice.